Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. You have kindly graced us, and we are very grateful. So please enlighten us on coming back stronger.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Pratik Prabhu, and all the devotees of Surat for inviting me over. Let's begin with prayers. Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakammalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, all the devotees of Surat and especially the youth of Surat, I hope all of you are enjoying your lockdown, having your home cooked food at home, apart from all the anxieties that are there because of this COVID crisis that we are all facing. And this COVID crisis, apart from many things that it has brought to us, some difficulties, some challenges, but also it has brought time to all of us to to reflect, to spend some time reflecting on what is life about and how can we deal with it. And I'm sure many of you might have wondered about this topic, or especially in this time, we all want to come and prove to ourselves that once the lockdown gets over, I can, I'll come even more stronger in my pursuit, in my career, in my job, in my academics. And some of you might have taken many, lot of courses, or some of you might have hit the gym. Of course, not the outside gym, but maybe in your own building or in your home, started doing yoga. And there was a saying, there was a quote that somebody had put up in, I think in April, that those who are, productivity freaks, even this lockdown period, they're made into rat race, and they are making us feel guilty that what are you doing now? Just wasting your time, just binge watching different serials or movies, or are you actually using this time productively? And it's one of the maybe worst crises that has hit this century, the 21st century. In the 20th century, there were many calamities that had happened, the world, two world wars, and so many famines and epidemics like this. But this particular 21st century, all of us are facing this never before thought of, that we'll all be locked down like this. Personally, myself not traveling anywhere for last 4 months is a record to be held, just staying at one place. Of course, it has improved the health and other things. And usually when coming back stronger, this kind of thing is used. Many a times this is used in terms of revenge, in terms of somebody has done some harm to you, and you want to get back to that person strong, even stronger. I remember a joke that was told about local trains in Mumbai, that when there is pushing that happens in the local trains, some guy pushes a bit, but the other guy, he comes back even strongly and he pushes the other guy, and then the whole atmosphere in the local train becomes that of fighting and trying to prove who is stronger or who is better. Once in a local train, one guy just bumped into another, one big guy just bumped into a small guy, and this little guy immediately became angry, and he asked, जानबूझ के धक्का दिया क्या? And then this big guy, he said, yes, जानबूझ के दिया, क्या करेगा तुम? And seeing this size, this small guy couldn't say anything, and he said, ठीक है, because he couldn't do anything to this big guy. So he somehow wanted to show that he is tolerating the situation, and otherwise he would have come back even much stronger to this person. And this is a theme that is there in many movies, many serials there, where somebody is da- way down, and then somebody is insulted, somebody is cheated, and that person comes back with even a stronger force. Of course, in the Mahabharata, there is this story of Drupada and Dronacharya. Recently, there was this friendship day, and they were very good friends. But as time passed, each one had his own profession. One became a king, another became a brahmana, a pandit. And then later in the years, once when Dronacharya came to meet his friend Drupada, out of his big position and pride, he didn't even look at his friend Drona, and Drona took it very in a very insulting way, that how can my friend not even look at me, not and मैं जैसा होता है ना, मैं उसको दिखाता हूँ. And then he took a vow that he wanted to come back stronger to Drupada, and then he goes to Hastinapur and he becomes the teacher of Kauravas and Pandavas. And then during the Guru Dakshina time, he asked both the Kauravas and Pandavas that I want the Drupada on my feet, because he wanted to take revenge. And so there is a great adrenaline that rushes into us when these kinds of moments come to us, where we want to get back to somebody even stronger than what he has done. But the theme that we are discussing today is not about getting back at someone else strongly, but it is to get to our own life, our own career, our own endeavors, our own pursuits in a much stronger way. And all of us face setbacks, all of us face failures. If there is not one person who has not faced a failure or a setback, then he is uh, either a either not thinking about what is happening, is just going through the motions, not even wondering is something a success or a failure, or is really a superhuman, a all-rounder in all aspects, that has never faced a failure. In the Australian army, it is said that when they have to take someone uh, for the to be in the army, they usually check the records, the academic records, and they only take those people that had failed at least once in their report card. In either one of the exams, they had to fail. Of course, if we all fear having that FF in our resumes, in our records, because that will be immediate no for jobs or companies. But the Australian army specifically has this condition that there has to be a failure in someone's records. And the reason for that is, usually when one faces failure or setback, that is the time when one's attitude or one's inner grit comes out. Otherwise, no success can be achieved just through this. Just if you have enough intellect or enough determination, you can achieve success. But when we face failure, then it is not more about this, it is more about this, that how does our heart take. And failures usually enter the heart, and success usually enters the head. And when success enters the head, we become proud, we become arrogant, and that usually becomes the cause for our downfall. Just like now, the whole pandemic that is created is because of arrogance of human society to just abuse or disrespect or deal with the nature whatever they want. And therefore the nature, because of that operation, that severe operation that we have been doing on environment, on nature, on other animals, it is coming back stronger. So even what is happening to us right now, this whole pandemic, is nature coming back to us strong in a much stronger way, so that we can learn the lesson, so that we can start respecting life, start respecting others space, others freedom. So whenever we face failures or difficulties, like the like the like the Australian like the Australian army judges how does one deal with failure. And that's why, because especially on a battlefield, it's not that every bullet you shoot you're going to hit the target, or it's not that you're not going to get hit by any bullet because of your expertise in maneuvering the whole area. So even currently, some of us might have faced a real setback in terms of losing some near or dear one, or losing some opportunity that we might have had, or losing that whole freedom that we had. And it's human to feel morose. It's human to feel that I a kind of gloominess because of everything that is happening, the amount of negative news, amount of uh, cases and incidents that are happening uh, again and again. Especially, there was somebody had said that I'm trying to find that guy who had wished me good luck for the year 2020, because this year 2020 has not been a year of any good luck, but or any happiness, but crisis after crisis, either the pandemic crisis, or the floods that had come, or the yesterday's the crash that has happened, or the Black Lives uh, issue that came upon the West, or whatever it is. So amidst this, the, we have to really start to go deeper. And as Socrates says, that in times of prosperity, the world knows you, the world starts to recognize you. But in times of adversity, in times of calamity, you start to know yourself, and you start to know the world. They say success is relative. The more there is success, the more there are relatives, the more there are people that hang around us. But failure is an orphan. Nobody wants to adopt a failure. Nobody is comfortable with accepting failure, with adversity. So, in today's session of this Coming Back Stronger for all the youth, I wanted to show one or two examples from the world, and for one of my personal example, and then some lessons that some steps by which we can come back stronger in our life and be more happy and be more fulfilled in spite of all the things that are happening around us. All of you must have heard Christopher Reeve, the the Superman, the guy who saved all the children, all different crises, and so many movies had made. And this Christopher Reeve, he was not just in real life a very athletic, very adventurous guy, but even in his real life, he was quite adventurous, quite risk taking. And one of his passions uh, during his career was horse riding, and it started with a hobby. He started once he started to like horse riding, and slowly his hobby turned into a kind of competitive spirit. He wanted to prove to others that yes, I am very good at this. And then he took part in some of the competitions with horse riding, with all these obstacles that you see that go up and down. And in 1995 of May, in California, he took up this. Now in Virginia, he had partaken in this horse competition, in this riding competition. And then he overcome the first obstacle along with his horse, the Eastern Express. He jumped the first one, the second one also he jumped, and it takes great dexterousness. I remember personally when I had to sit on a horse. I don't know if have any of you sat on a horse. Can you raise your hands? Okay, I see some hands being risen. Was there someone along with you on the horse, or you are alone, or somebody catching next to you? Did someone actually run on a horse alone? Any raising hands? No one. So it's not an easy thing. There is no stability on the seat. Personally, at Juhu Chowpatty Beach, also I had uh, walked along with the horse, and usually those horses are tiny ponies, that and even that is difficult to have. So therefore, of course, in the movies when they show Bahubali or others, they do all kinds of tricks and trades, and it seems amazing, but most of them are not real. They are just computer graphics. So Christopher Reeve, in his third jump, it was quite a complex jump. It was a jigsaw jump that he had to take, and suddenly his Eastern Express, his horse, he took a halt. It really feared taking this leap, taking this jump, and then it halted. But because of the momentum that Christopher Reeve was in, his body didn't stop. Of course, the laws of motion, the physics, we all study, that we go ahead, and then he went. He was pulled over the horse, and he went and landed right on his head, on into this trap, into this obstacle. And because of that whole momentum that was there, Christopher Reeve, he is this connection between the head, sorry, this connection between the head and the whole body, this spinal cord, got broke, and he just lost whole consciousness, and then he had to be immediately taken, and somehow there was hours of operation, and somehow they fixed the spinal cord and the head. In Vedic culture, we know of the similar kind of operation that was done on Ganeshji, where elephant head was put on the body of Ganapati. But of course, he was fully functional and very powerful. But herein, the scientists, the doctors, couldn't fully recover his whole momentum. They just could attach in a way that he could just be the all the functions of the body were just happening, but there was no sensation, there was no movement. So he was only conscious till the neck, and after the neck, everything below He was totally quadriplegic. He didn't had any sensation. And for somebody who was a superman in movies, for somebody who was such an adventurous guy, suddenly in a state where apart from his head, nothing else was in his control. Everything else was beyond his control. And I've seen some movies where in the beaches people try to dig themselves and put their whole body inside the sand. It's kind of a therapy, and just their head is outside. And just then a dog comes in, and they really fear what will the dog do, because they can't really do anything. So for all of us who take granted for movement of our hands and legs, especially when we start to lose them, then we start to cherish a lot. So Christopher Reeve, he became very morose, very depressed at the turn of events, that and he started to contemplate suicide. And when he was brought out of the ICU and the whole thing, Chris, his wife Dana, she consoled him, and she said that no matter what decision you take, whether it is to end your life, or whether it is to live, or whether it is to stay like this, I still love you, because I love the person, the spirit that is in you. And your body may be incapacitated right now, but it doesn't matter. You are still you. And that support from his wife Dana gives Christopher Reeve such a such a confidence and support, that he started to uh, really feel inspired that I should do something with my life. I shouldn't just you know keep sulking or try to end my life. And then he tried to really reactivate all his sensations, and he really worked hard. In fact, he had taken a vow that by the age of 50 he wanted to walk back. Of course, that could never be done, but slowly, because of his intense endeavor and the support that he got, he became normal. His sensations returned in his rest of the body. He could experience the touch of his son, the touch of his wife. And then he wrote a book called as Still Me, a very wonderful book, that no matter what happens all around us, you are still you. You are still there. The life that is there is not dependent. The experience of life is not dependent on all the external circumstances, but mainly on what you want to do. And especially this brought in a lot of empathy in his life. And he thought about all the quadriplegic, all those physically incapacitated people, and he started to help them, even with his condition. So so apparently a superman, but became incapacitated, handicapped. But because of that empathy, he started to do and help so many people that were in this condition. And he got more appreciation, more applauds for the work he was doing now than the work he was doing before as a superman, because uh, he could help people to solve their problems, or he could give a hope that if he in this situation can be happy, then why should I complain about my situation that was there. So this is a very important factor whenever there is a setback, that if we really want to come back, we have to find a space, we have to find a community, a, someone who really cares for us, who really accepts us the way we are. Many times people that surround us are people that are surrounding us for things that we have, not that for the person whom we are. And therefore in times of adversity, all those things, all those extra coverings, superficial friendships or superficial things start to peel off, and we really start to value. Just like right now, what are we valuing? We are valuing the family that we have, we valuing the people that we are in touch with. And uh, and some, not something so drastic, but Something similar had also happened when I uh, was in the ashram. I had joined in 2006 in Chopati after completing my master's uh, and uh, bachelor's from IIT Bombay, and then master's in Chicago. And somehow this path of trying to serve and being a monk really inspired me. And people always say that at IIT we BTech are called as bhatke. So, and because we are bhatke, we are also allowed to do something hatke. And and among all my friends, I might be the one who really did something hatke. And whenever I say this, that he always used to say that bhatke matlab hatke, but then I'm doing something really out of the box. Are you willing to try this much? And they sometimes they say yes, yes, we also have some kind of aspirations to practice spirituality, other things. So when I joined in 2006, I was all gongo, all inspired to give my life, give my energy, and do a lot. And many times in our enthusiasm to do something productive, do something beneficial for others, at times we start to neglect this own system that God has given us. As they say, charity begins at home. If we neglect this vehicle that has been given to us, or this mind, or this uh, instrument, this vehicle that has been given to us, and we start to abuse that, either in the name of something good, or for something bad, it starts to wear out. And because of all the anxiety and stress that I was taking for service, for different outreach activities, where I was part of national curriculum for especially based on Bhagavad Gita and different things. And my body started to, the stress started to wear down the body. And then the immunity, just like right now, immunity is a very important factor for for everyone to handle this pandemic, this corona uh, crisis. And immunity is something that is self developed. It cannot be artificially given. The body develops its own defense mechanism. And if the body is neglected, or the body is in stress, is too much in negativity, then the whole immunity starts to break down. And something like that happened to me. And I had spoken this in my one of my first TED talks way back, maybe 4 years back, where I developed this disease called as Jogren syndrome, where my energy was used to be totally down. And literally I was on bed for 2 years, from 2012 to 2014, just not doing anything. And when I was on bed and not able to function at all my identification as a big preacher, or a samaj sevak, or different things started to really uh, go down, evaporate. And those are the times where you start to really connect to what is the real purpose for which you are living. What is the real purpose? It is not just to prove to others, but it is to improve our own life and to the best with the situation that is around us. And even in that situation, the one thing that really gave me support, gave me a strong sense of purpose, was that loving community in the ashram, the where I was living. And usually I don't show this photo of mine where I was diseased, but because it is about coming back stronger, and I wanted to make this point very strongly, I'll just put my picture here, where you can see my whole cheek on this side is just swollen. And this was not just something physical, but also excruciatingly painful. You can't eat, you can't do much. And and obviously I was very down those times. But when, with the devotees support that I had got in the temple, in the community that was there, I really felt a great sense of uh, tranquility and strength. So these are the four things that I suggest to all of you to try to invest in try to develop, because these four strengths will really help you to come back strongly, the way that it has helped me, and the way it shows to the in the scientific research, in the examples that are there in the world. The first is that a sense of belonging, that we all need to feel that we are accepted, we belong somewhere. Of course, we all have that sense of belonging to our families, but sometimes even when we are too much questioned about our choices, or we are too much questioned about our marks or other things, we start to feel that even I don't even I'm not accepted even in my family. But but apart from the family, we also seek that sense of belonging in friends. And that's why we tend to do the so that the friends accept us, because we want to feel a sense of belonging to that community, to that place. and and in this endeavor, in this need to feel belonged, sometimes we take wrong steps, because the society or the community, the group that we are connected to, is going in a certain way, or they are valuing something, although it is not you. Sometimes you artificially try to show off that, if everyone in that group has, say, iPhone 11 or iPhone 10, then you also want to have such a device or something like that, because you want to feel belong, that unless I have this, you are not accepted in that society, in that group. But rather than trying to get this sense of belonging from different people around us, we should try to see where can be accepted, where can we feel naturally belonging, based on whom we are. And especially the Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON society is something where everyone, because of the philosophy that Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, that everyone has a place in Krishna's creation. Nothing is useless, nothing is out of question. Like once uh, one Akbar had asked, Birbal had asked Akbar, that is, that Birbal, Akbar, you can do something that even God cannot do. And Akbar asked, what is that? And Birbal said, you can throw someone out of your kingdom, but God cannot, because every creation, everything is actually his place, his kingdom. So especially the process of spirituality, or the community of devotees, it gives us this sense of belonging, that we are accepted for what we are. It's not that we are encouraged in whatever bad habits we may be having, but every sinner has a future, and every saint has a past. And when we see a place where we are not judged, where we are accepted with the situation that we are in, and that place we feel we belong. And therefore this sense of belonging gives that strong sense of purpose, strong sense of to do something to whom you belong. Because you feel you belong to India, you want to do something for India. Because you feel you belong to some particular group, you want to do something. Same way, when this sense of belonging, just like Christopher Reeve, he had this sense of belonging very strongly for his from his wife. His wife accepted him no matter what he is. And same way, when we get this from people around us, and when we give this to people around us, then they get that strength, that let me go out and venture out, because I'm safe in my acceptance, and therefore even if I make a mistakes, I'll be accepted. So this is the first thing that uh, helps us to come back strongly in our pursuits in our life, to have this, and to also give this to others around us. The second thing that is very very empowering to come back strongly is to have a strong sense of purpose. Of course, when we feel belonged, then our purpose is to do something for them. But apart from that, it is to have a goal, it is to have some kind of aspiration, something that you want to do with your life. And usually the purpose of everything that it seems to be happiness. And we all want to be happy. And the Gita course that says the sutras for self discovery, there is a short crash course on the Gita that I'm doing the coming weekend. So in that I'm going to speak on this happiness and purpose. What comes first, that is it success or is it happiness? And usually we all know think that purpose of life is to be successful. But no matter what levels of success we achieve, there is always something further, there is always something further. And this way the game never seems to end. But when we have a strong sense of purpose, then we are able to come back strongly. But if there is no strong sense of purpose, usually in revenge fantasies there is a some purpose, like in the story of Shikandi in Mahabharata, there was a specific purpose for which she endeavored, and she did this tapasya and she came back strongly in another form. So usually revenge fantasies are something that are very common in the movies. They give a kind of purpose, but they don't give happiness. If you just want to prove to the world or prove to somebody who your critics that I'm better than them or what they say, that kind of proving mentality is not actually purpose, because once you prove to that, then there's somebody else who will criticize us, somebody else who will uh, feel that we are not great. So instead of trying to identify any other purpose from someone else, what is the real purpose for which I am there? And there is one small exercise, small kind of process for us to identify with am I living as per the purpose for which I am been uh, planning. So this is, in the last 18 months or say 2 years, what are the important decisions that we have taken, that you might have chosen this career or chosen this friend or this mobile. And based on the choices that we have made in the past 2 years, mainly the important choices, not what did I eat today morning in the breakfast or this or that, based on that we can see that this seems to be my purpose by which I am living. And then you can see that, but is it what I really want to live by? Many of us, we just get engrossed in gadgets and technology. But when we are asked, our purpose seems to be not just be with technology, but with trying to be very successful, trying to be very helpful to others. So if we want to really chalk out a purpose, having a strong sense of purpose, and without a strong sense of purpose, it's very difficult for us to come back strongly. One of the greatest books of all time is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And in that, he writes, in the Holocaust, when people were put in this concentration camps, I mean, everybody was suffering severely. Many people lost hope and they died. And he saw that usually after Christmas, most of them were Christians. After Christmas, the number of deaths that were there were huge than just before Christmas. And the reason was that somehow they intrinsically believed, because of their faith, that by Christmas there will be some miracle by God, by Jesus, and we will be back home with our families. And that purpose till Christmas kept them alive. But after that, there was that purpose became weakened, and they really lost faith in that goal or that aspiration they had. And because they lost that faith in that purpose, in that, and then therefore their life couldn't sustain or couldn't tolerate all the difficulties that were there. So therefore, having a strong sense of purpose, and this comes mainly with those whom we love, that we want to really do something for whom we love. And apart from that, to have a strong sense of purpose, and what is that ultimate purpose for which by which we can be completely satisfied and pacified. Uh, we can that is a topic that is the subject matter of the Bhagavad Gita, which can be taken in some future sessions. The third principle is called as transcending. That that we are all, in our small little situations. Say you are all in Surat in your little home. Sometimes situations may be nice, sometimes situations may not be nice. And when we are facing all these situations, we many times feel so small, and we identify with just events that are happening, and we don't really see the bigger picture. But when we see the bigger picture of life, my and we try to connect to the bigger purpose that is there, and therefore, and again, this connects to the theme of the Bhagavad Gita. When we transcend, when we are not just like a lotus that is in the waters, but it is not uh, overcome by all the dirt that is there in the waters. Same way, when our mind, our consciousness can be elevated, rather than just seeing, being absorbed in the day-to-day activities, but to elevate our consciousness, to transcend, also helps us to see things in a much better way. This story from Socrates comes that Socrates once was with his friend, and they were discussing at home. And as they were discussing, his wife was really nagging, and she was shouting. And because of this too much background noise, they thought, let us leave the house, let us go outside and sit and talk. And as they were walking outside, his wife, Xanthippe, she brought a huge load of dirty water from the first floor, and she poured all over Socrates. And when he was drowned, his friend asked him that how do you handle such a wife who is just all the time nagging, and now she just poured all this dirty water upon you. And that time Socrates said that when there is thunder, you expect rain also. So inside there was thunder, and now outside there is, when we came outside, there is the rain. And he often used to say that one of the reasons why I am dealing with living with such a uh, nagging wife that is constantly shouting is because I don't see this as just my interaction with this person, but I see this as a test for me to become more mature, for me to become more refined. And he gives this example in his books that if you want to get trained in horse riding, if you really want to get expert in horse riding, you have to ride on a wild horse. Of course, that costed a lot for Christopher Reeve, but he gave this example that when you try to tame a wild horse, and it will obviously be very difficult, and that's when you really become good at this skill. Same way in trying to understand human behavior and relationships, and trying to control my own inner self. She is the best friend that I have, by which I am able to understand human psychology and human behavior. So so Socrates didn't just see his own family situation or this current as something, and became negative about it, but he transcended. He saw that situation, how it is teaching him something. And unless we transcend and we see the situation from a bigger picture, we'll always be very morose and negative about life. And this brings us to the last principle about coming back stronger. This is called as storytelling. That what's that Storytelling is a great art that many movies try to do, and some get successful or not. But no matter any movie story, movie script, or anything, each one of us is the director of our own life. And the mind is continuously keeps telling stories to us. What happens outside are just events, incidents, but how it is narrated, how it is analyzed, is done by the mind. And the mind usually stitches a tragedy story, a story of horror. And if we change that self talk, if we start to uh, tell the story in a different way to our own self, then we'll be able to see positively the situation rather than negative. And we have to change this storytelling that we do more than telling stories to anyone else to impress others. If we really want to come back strongly and keep our mind positive, then we have to tell this a story that is positive. And this story that is there of again, it is ascribed to Akbar and Birbal. Some say it is uh, Krishna, Tenali Ramakrishna story. But this story was that uh, once the once the king had a cut on his finger, and the minister, he said that, oh, it is God's grace that you got cut. And the king was really annoyed, and he said, how can this be God's grace? And he really put him into prison. And I'm cutting the story short. And then he went for hunting. And he went for hunting. That time he was caught by some aboriginals, and they took him to be sacrificed on the altar. And just before sacrificing him on the altar, they saw that this king has a cut, and because he has a cut, he is not a pure offering, and therefore he was rejected. So immediately the king became very grateful about this understanding that the minister had, that everything happens for good. And immediately went to the minister, and he thanked the minister that what you said was true, that I was saved and it's God's grace. And then the king asked the minister, but how is it God's grace for you? How it is good for you that you were in the prison? And then minister said, if if I was with you, then instead of you, I would have been sacrificed. And it's good for me too that you had a cut and I had to be put in the prison. So what happens in life is all different incidents. But how do we tell the story to ourselves? How do we stitch those stories? Yes, I got 90% marks. Was it a that's just an incident, or I got 60%, I got a fail. That's just an incident. How do you tell the story? Is it a story of learning, story of okay, redoing it, or a story of just beating oneself, and the end is very tragic. Like in some movies it is there that the hero and the heroine both die and everybody comes back home very morose, and that's the way the story is told. And there are some movies where, yes, that is not, that is just that is a end in the, that is just a bend in the story, it is not the end. So we have to become expert storytellers to keep ourselves very positive, because none of us know that how the life is going to be, especially because of this pandemic. And current situation is what is called as a VUCA situation that all of us are facing. There is great volatility that is there. Things are changing really fast. Nobody knows what will be the price. Like the gold rates, some of you may be knowing, from 49,000 in March, it went to 58 or 59,000. Such a big jump that so the volatility at which things are happening also is part of this epidemic or part of this crisis that is there. There is also great uncertainty that is there, that we really don't know, something will change, what will work, what will not work. And because of this uncertainty also, there is great gloom and anxiety that is there. And also there is this complexity. Everything is so interlinked. Something happens in China and the whole world is suffering, or so there is some kind of petrol crisis somewhere, and we here the prices get affected. So the world, because it is such a interlinked place, it's really not very clear what steps should I take, where should I go so that I don't get infected and by corona or different things. And there are also ambiguity about when the medicine will come, what kind of life will be in the future. And this is called as VUCA situation. There is volatility, there is uncertainty, there is complexity, there is ambiguity. And in these times, to be able to handle and come back strongly, we had to, again, the acronym stands VUCA only, that we have to have a vision for our own life, not vision based on what the world or what the situations will be, but inner vision for how do I want to improve in any situation that is there. And unless we have a vision, and in and of course all these four things are something that spirituality and knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita helps us a lot. And so we need to have proper vision, and the vision currently of us is very limited because we are seeing from a ground perspective. But the vision that we can get from the Bhagavad Gita, from Krishna's perspective, is something that is complete, and in that there won't be any kind of setbacks or limitations. If there is some, this part doesn't work because you have a clear vision, therefore you are able to uh, go through life in a much better way. Then the uncertainties that are there in this world, Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, that expect that there will be uncertainty. So therefore, the understanding that things will be uncertain, of course, most of us here in India have been trained about uncertainty, with when will the bus come, when will the results come. So many things are uncertain in India, but currently with all the instant ordering system and technology, everything had become so certain. But in these times of uncertainty, it becomes even more difficult. So when we understand that the nature of the world, because of so many factors involved, is ashashvatam, there is, everything is temporary. So when we understand that, we won't have too many expectations from the world outside. And also to clarify our expectations, to have great clarity uh, about what do we really want in life, and what's the purpose for which we want to endeavor. And then the last, which is to have acceptance, that yes, accept things that you can't control, and then do something that with those things that you can do better. And when we have this vision, when we have this understanding, when we have this clarity and acceptance, and through that we will be able to steer our life much in a much better way. And with this, I want to stop today's small discussion about the coming back strongly, and see if any of you have any questions or discussions.
If anyone has any questions, they can write it on a write it on the
Of
chat,
course,
or
another
they
thing
can.
that stands for A is adaptability. That don't be in your own old-fashioned thinking that yes, life will be again back to normal. There will be things will change, may change drastically. So therefore, to be adaptable, to be agile to coming situations, just like right now we are all doing this satsang, this kind of talk online with all of you sitting at your home. Some of you are very attentive, making notes. Some of you may be relaxed uh, or whatever. So, but somehow we have to adapt to the situation and keep the life a ongoing learning process and improving process. So, I'll stop here and see if any devotees have any questions. Any of you?
So, if anyone would like to ask any question, they can raise their hand. Uh, we can unmute them and they can ask you, Prabhu. Is that all right?
Yes, bro.
Okay. Nukul, uh, Nukul, kindly ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
My
Krishna.
my question is that when situations are favorable, that is everything is going in our way, what we want. It is easy to think about future that we can do like this. We can go with what we have. We can really think about future very well. But when situation turn against us and situation become unfavorable, so what happens then? we completely lose hope and faith in that time. So what to do then?
Yes, thank you, Nakul for asking that question. That when things are very going along the way, we all know what's the purpose, what we want to do in life. But in situations like this, it becomes very uncertain, and therefore these are the times when we have to go deeper. Usually, like they say, when you dig for water, usually we all are, we assume that water comes from taps or milk comes from the milkman. But when they don't come, that's when we start to inquire, where does water actually come from? It comes from the rivers, the reservoirs. So we have to connect to the source. We have to connect to the deeper place from which all the whole world situation. Just like, I always give this example. Like, we are all operating within uh, a space, but there is someone who is managing the whole space, like your home, or in terms of computer, or if there is a user and there is a super user, or in the crime branch, they are cyber crime, they can monitor. Just 2 days back, I read that some people were arrested because they were trying to watch child pornography. Somebody was just watching from their place pornography, but somebody is sitting somewhere else could know who is watching what, and came and arrested these teenagers, these young people. And so when our user system or our thing goes wrong, that's when we understand that I am not independent master of my destiny. I am just playing a role for the bigger purpose, and I was given space to work till now. But in situations like this, I need to understand the real basis of everything. And that's what happened to Arjuna also, that he his whole assumption, his whole paradigm of what life is was deconstructed. It broke, and then he could see what is behind the curtain, what is behind the arrangement of God and the purpose for which our life is. And when we identify with that, and when we connect to that, then if one road of is that we usually go is bad, it's not that we stop traveling. We can choose another road, because now we know a deeper purpose than just traveling on that road, on that career. So in current situations, these are the times when we have to really connect to spirituality and try to go deeper with the purpose, and also with our own natures, and how we can match the purpose for which we are there and the nature that I have been given. So these are the times where our paradigms are getting broken, and it's good for a bigger purpose. Just like for a child, he may be just playing in the but the parents will forcibly take him to the school, and it will be painful, because his whole paradigm was, this is life, just playing. But then parents know the bigger picture, and it will be a painful transition. But once he connects to that bigger purpose, once he starts to get gnawed by get appreciate the knowledge that is being given, and also have fun with that, then he won't know, he will understand the purpose for which the transition. So this is a transition that we need to make, that just life is not just a play field, but it's actually a battlefield, and how we can turn that battlefield into some, and how can be victorious in this battlefield. And that's what is the Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you so much,
So
Thank
Prabhu.
go
you so
deeper. That is my
much, Prabhu. It
go
was
deeper into spirituality and transcendence. That's my suggestion for this. Any other questions?
anyone else having any question? I guess um, questions are there. No, questions are not there. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was wonderful talk. The point that I liked most was the way you explained in the start that how coming back stronger is used only in the terms of revenge. And then I could relate it clearly to the movies, to the TV series that we have watched, and we see how people come back at each other. But the way you explained it through the example of Christopher Reeve and your practical own example, it was really, really inspiring. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And the 4 points that you mentioned, uh, I would like to point out the belonging that we need. We all need a sense of belonging. Second point was we all need a purpose and a higher purpose or a goal and aspiration. Third point was transcending how we have to transcend the situation. And fourth was storytelling. That was the best among all the points. That how we have to tell our mind a different narrative, a different story, even in the same story in the different way, so that we can uh, be positive in these times also. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It was quite enlightening. We will be uh, very grateful. I guess there's a question. Do you have time for taking a question?
Can you read out the question so everybody can hear?
Okay. So Vibhur has asked, Prabhuji, my question is that in Krishna consciousness, a person should be free from the result of fruitive work and should stop his desires. But in our age, the teenage, what if someone is trying to be Krishna conscious, but sometimes he do desirous things? Is that right or wrong, according to you?
Having is never denied in bhakti. You can have as much as you wish to have. But what has to be refined is what is the purpose for which we want to have that. And if that purpose is not proper, then whatever we have will be, it cannot be digested. It will be something that will be harmful, either it be wealth, either it be accomplishments. Along with having, we also need to have a proper purpose, and to see that, uh, and without that, having will only be something that will create more emptiness in our life. Therefore, the more someone has, if he doesn't cultivate along with that a strong purpose for which he is having that, then he starts to feel empty. So Krishna always encouraged Arjuna. One of the names of Arjuna is Dhananjaya, one who acquired so much wealth for his brother. So acquiring wealth, acquiring fame, they were most of us want to roam the world, but Pandavas were some people who roamed the universe. They went all over the place. They met biggest of the leaders from all over the world. But the whole purpose was to establish dharma. So neither traveling, neither accomplishing, none of this is denied. But what's the purpose for which we are doing that? And if the purpose is strong, and if we align with that, and we are under the consultation of a teacher that will but that will help us to, that we are not just speaking of the purpose, but we are also living for that purpose, then we'll never be uh, wrong in having things. But otherwise, just having things, it only lasts, that excitement only lasts for a while, and then you will want something else.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. For those of you existing members who don't know, Brajmohan Prabhuji has been guiding us and giving us ideas, giving us shelter, giving us ideas how to carry forward our group and what should be our principles and what should be our strategies. So we are very grateful to you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for coming today and giving us a valuable time, invaluable time. And we would be seeking for association in future also. Thank you so much.
Thank
Also,
you.
for those of you who wish to attend the SSG Prabhuji was mentioning, this is the course that is going to happen next week. Uh, Please do register. This is going to be amazing. Sutras for self-discovery. This is exactly the point that Prabhuji was talking about in the middle of his talk, that we all need a purpose and how Gita can help us in finding that happiness and purpose in our lives. So I hope you all can see this uh, poster, the talk, the sessions that Prabhuji is going to take. So we We will ask all of you to actively participate and enroll for this course and seek further guidance and wisdom from Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. If anyone has any queries, they can message us. Before we end, we would just like to share with you a few activities that we have had done in the past. Uh, that I'm so sorry. These are the few activities that we were talking about, and yeah, we would like to.